Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible to you guys? Okay. All of you, please ask your friends to join. We will start by 10:20. हो गई हो कितनी। Hey, good morning, everyone. Once again, is my voice clear? Okay. So we were discussing about preloading, and till last class, I guess nobody has any doubt. So we'll continue with that. I'm going to share the screen. Is it visible to all? Can you see the screen? Okay. So here we are going to see about the construction requirements. Means what are the various construction requirements for preloading? Okay. So you see here, in order to achieve the best performance by the preloading technique, various factors have been considered, and the silent factors are explained below. Okay, some of the factors are there, and in last class, a little bit we have seen just the points. So, a bit in details, we are going to see here. So, first is ground investigation. So, ground investigation has to be planned with utmost care. What happened? Any problem? I guess it is clear. Okay. Ground investigation has to be planned with utmost care, and the subsurface condition should be investigated thoroughly. Two aspects have to be decided before selecting this method, that is, the ground should be able to support the weight of the preload, for which the subsoil should have adequate shear strength, and the time required for settlement to complete, that is, for the ground improvement to be complete. Preloading requires a higher investigation effort than the other methods, as switching over to new technique in the middle of operation is not feasible. I hope it is clear that the first and foremost thing we need to do is ground investigation. Okay, only after investigating the ground, what type of ground it is, we can plan for the further work. In case of preloading, how much load we are going to apply, it will also, not only it will depend on the structure we are going to plan on the ground, but also the condition of the ground is also to be checked. Okay, like in previous classes I told you about base failure. If the load is more than the capacity of the soil, there are chances of base failure. So to avoid these things, we should investigate the ground. Will the ground be able to take the load that we are going to apply as preload or not? We should see this. Okay. Then preliminary investigation may be made by geophysical method, followed by boring and sampling. It is recommended to have at least 2 to 3 borings for sites up to 1,000 meters square. For sites up to 1,000 to 5,000 meters square, the minimum number of borings should be 3 plus 1 for every 1,000 meters square in excess of 1,000 meters square. So for investigating the ground condition, we need to do boring, then bring the undisturbed soil sample from there, and we do some kind of test in the lab, so that we get the clear idea about the type of soil, about the shear strength, bearing capacity of the soil. We can get the clear idea, and for that we do borings. We know, you know these things, isn't it? So this just a recommendation is given that for if the area for sites up to area this 1,000 meters square, we need at least 2 or 3 number of borings. Okay, and if it is more, then the number gets increased. That is 3 plus 1 more for every 1,000 meters square. I hope this line is clear. If the area is more than 1,000 to 5,000 meters square, if it is if it exceeds this 1,000 meters square area, then we need to put this 3 borings, and plus one for every 1,000 meters square. Okay. So borings should be deep enough to reach the underlying formation of hard soil, or up to a depth of 30 meters. So your borehole should reach to reach the hard soil or hard stratum that is lying in the below the depth. Or if you can't reach up to the hard stratum, the depth of the boring should be minimum 3 meters from the ground surface, whichever is less. Okay. If before getting the hard layer, it is more than 30 meters, we can continue till 30 meters, and then we can stop. Next is soil type. Next factor is soil type. So practically, preloading technique has been applied effectively on every type of naturally laid or man-made soil. Under natural soil, loose sand and silt, soft silty clays, organic silt or alluvial deposit, and less frequently organic soil like peat have been treated successfully. So these are the types of soils where the preloading technique has been applied successfully. Okay, maybe the type of soil is either natural soil or it is man-made soil. So can anybody tell me the kind of man-made soils? What type of soils are called as man-made soil? Can you say? What are man-made soils? Cement. Is it? Anybody else? Lagoon soil. Then, no idea. Okay. Lagoon soil is a type of man-made soil. It's correct. Good. And others, we can take example like peat. Also, we can say it is a kind of man-made soil because it is formed from organic deposit which are deposited by human beings only. Okay, so these kinds of soil. So whether it is the soil is natural or man-made, you can apply this preloading. Then, however, thick deposit of plastic, clay, and sanitary fields are still doubtful to treat satisfactorily. So, plastic, clay, and sanitary fields are still doubtful that preloading can be applied or not. That is what it is said. And preloading can be applied to soils above or below the water table. So, I guess it is clear the factor about the soil condition. Next, we move to space, material, and assess. So adequate space is required for preloading. About 10 meter or more of area outside the perimeter of the plant structure is needed to perform the preload operation. So how much space is required? It is said here. But obviously, we need some space for applying this preload. We need to bring the preloads, that is the fill materials, keep in the site, and then we need to make the adjustment and put the preload in the required place. So for that purpose, some spaces are required. So that is what it is said. About 10 meter or more of area outside the perimeter of the plant structure is needed to perform the preload operations. Then another important requirement is the availability of a suitable fill material. Among the fill material, granular materials are most desirable since they do not turn to mud during rainy weather and has adequate strength and stability and can be reused after the completion of preloading. So, granular materials, all of you are familiar with that. So, these materials, they don't form this clay during the rainy season. If we suppose if we bring clay and suddenly rain occurs, then it will be a very muddy one. Okay, and it will create lots of problem for the workers to work there. So generally granular materials are preferred. Okay, and also they have higher strength. Then ore and industrial products are also satisfactorily used. This silver products and all these things, the products that are originated from industries, waste products, steels and all, after cutting some waste materials are wasted. So those also we can bring to apply the loads. Okay, that is what. Another aspect of is the access of the fill material. The transport of large quantities of fill material through inhabited areas may cause inconvenience to public by way of dust, noise, and burden on traffic. So these things always, not only in case of preloading, any other construction we should take care of. That the normal activity of the people, normal life, the normal traffic condition should not be disturbed for the construction work or for the application of this preloads. Okay, and also we should see that the fill materials we are bringing to the site is available somewhere nearby only, because if it is too far, then it will not be economical for you. The money will get wasted in transportation charges only. So we should see if it is easily available in the nearby places or not, and also we should see that we are bringing some fill materials, whether it is sandy soil or gravel or some industrial waste. The dust and all, it should not disturb these general people. No? That thing is said here, and also about the traffic, it should not create any problem for the traffic. Also, these things, these are the factors we should see. Then the last one is site preparation. Before starting the preload operation, the site must be cleared by surface vegetation. The topsoil up to a depth of about zero point 0.5 must be removed, and then the surface must be covered by a base layer of free draining materials. The necessity for removal of surface vegetation is to prevent further settlement due to large term decay, and also to facilitate the placement of base layer. The base layer is about zero point 0.6 meter thick and must be a non-cohesive admixture of gravel and sand. The base layer plays a twofold role. First is to receive and discharge the water that reaches the surface of the compressible soil during the consolidation process, and to provide a comfortable working surface on which the equipment can move in rainy weather without hindrance. In areas where the sand gravel is expensive or not available, it is advisable to use geosynthetics, as they offer high water conductivity and considerable strength. So this is about all about your site preparation. And generally, when the site is left, suppose before starting any construction, the grass, then various types of vegetations, you can say various types of grasses, weeds, and all they grow. Okay. So for that purpose, it is better we need to remove the topsoil normally up to a depth of 0.5 meter. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen if above that, if we don't remove the topsoil and we put the preload or other soil fill materials on that place, then the vegetations will get decayed after over time. And when they will get decayed, there will be chances of settlement of the soil will get settled, and these problems will arise. So for that purpose, the topsoil is required to be removed at least up to the depth of 0.5 meters, so that the roots and all does not remain below the surface. This is what the base layer is, about 0.6 meter thick. These things, just it is written in simple language. I think you can understand. So these are about the fearless factors we should see, we should take care of before applying preloading. Okay, I guess this is clear to all. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Anybody having any doubt in this? Any doubt in this much? Okay, no doubt. Okay, then these things are related generally to settlement, consolidation, compaction. So these ideas should be very clear to you all. Consolidation, compaction, then bearing capacity, shear strength. Okay, these topics you should be very much clear. And otherwise, if you are clear with these things, there is nothing much to learn, but means nothing much to get worried about this subject. Okay. So for this purpose, let us practice one numerical. These things already you have done, but just for refreshment and so that you remember, I am just doing these problems. So this numerical is based on consolidation and permeability. Is the numerical question it is visible to all? Can you see the question? Okay. So you can note down the question in your copy. A saturated clay layer of 5 meter thickness takes 1.5 years for 50% primary consolidation when drained from both sides. So drainage is done in both sides, and if coefficient of volume change is given to you, you need to determine the coefficient of consolidation and coefficient of permeability by assuming gamma W, unit weight of water, as 10 kilonewton per meter square. All of you please note down the question and let me know once it is over. This question you can see it is came in GATE 1991. Writing the question is over, all of you? Is it over or not? Over, man. Only one. What about others? Completed? Okay. So now try to solve it, and the one who is able to solve the first, you give the answer in chat box. Solve it, be fast. thickness of the clay layer is given to you as 5 meter, then time is given to you as 1.5 years, and 50% consolidation occurs. Drainage is both sides, so you need to divide the thickness, you need to divide the drainage path, means the thickness only, by 2, because both side drainage is allowed. One more thing you can note down in the question, everyone, that for 50% consolidation, the time factor is 0.196. 0.196 is the time factor for 50% consolidation. Can anybody write in the chat box which formula you are going to use? Which formula we are going to use? Write in the chat box. How we find coefficient of consolidation? If you are facing problem in writing in the chat box, you can unmute yourself and tell me. Is there anybody who is trying, or all of you are just sitting because I can't see you all? Are you trying or not, you guys? Yes or no? Please respond in the chat box. Are trying, ma'am? Okay, tell me the formula which you are using to try. Which formula you'll try for consolidation? How we find coefficient of consolidation? Anybody, how we find coefficient of consolidation? So here is the solution. Can you see the solution? See, thickness of the clay is given to you 5 meter, and since drainage is both sides, we need to divide it by 2, which will get as length of drainage h. Okay. Then time taken for 50% consolidation is 1.5 years. Time factor I have given to you, it is 0.196 for 50% consolidation. So coefficient of consolidation CV, we find it by this formula, T into h square divided by small t. This capital T, it stands for time factor, which is given as 0.196. H is the length of drainage path, it is given as 2.5 meter. T is the time period required for 50%. Here 50% consolidation is done. So for this 1.5 years is given to you. So this is your coefficient of consolidation. After solving this, we get this 0.8167 meters square per year. Then we need to find coefficient of permeability. Here in this question it is not mentioned, but the question I have shown you just now before, there I have mentioned you need to find coefficient of permeability, and it is related to coefficient of consolidation by this formula. Okay, CV is the coefficient of consolidation, K by MV, M suffix V. MV is the coefficient of volume change. Gamma W is given to you. MV is also given to you. CV you can take from here. K we need to find, that is coefficient of permeability. Find out, we'll get this one. Please note down the solution if you have not completed. The meeting is going to get ended in 5 minutes. So is it over on this numerical, or if you have any doubt you can ask in this numerical? Is it clear? Is it clear? Writing is over, I guess. Okay. So I think everybody has noted down the solution also. Okay. So in our next class, we will start vertical drainage. Okay, vertical drains we will start in next class. Today I won't start. It will not get completed though. So till this much, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, the class is going to end. Anybody having any doubt, you can ask. Okay, then I'm ending this class for today since everybody is mute and no questions, nothing. So next class will start vertical drains. Till then, practice whatever is taught to you. If you have any doubt, you can ask the next class. Okay, thank you everyone.